In the last lesson, we start a blank report and we use Excel workbook to load the data for the sales. Now we're going to do the same, but instead of going to a blank report, then load the Excel workbook, we will use a data source directly from the welcome screen. So I will use the Excel workbook data connector to point to the sales file. As I said before, Excel can contain more than one data set. This is why we have the navigator. Every time you have table and any other source, table is preferred. You can define the table because this has a header. Table is a defined object inside my Excel file. So I select the table and I load the table to my Power BI report. Once data is loaded, we have one query. Query is a table, and every column in my table is a field. Every field has a data type, and you can quickly define the data type by the icon displayed next to the field name. So every time you see sigma, it means this field is a number. If there is no icon, it means this is a text. And if you have the calendar icon, it means it is a date. In any data analysis process, data type is mandatory. So you cannot have text if the data type is formatted as date. You cannot have date and handle the data as date if the data type is formatted as text. Not like Excel, data type is optional. It is not a mandatory. If I need to log to the data inside my table, I can switch the view from the report view to the table view. From the table view, I can see a very quick display of the same table I just loaded with a count of rows information written at the end of the view. So now I can confirm we successfully load 24,990 sales transaction because the first row is a header, so it is not counted. Now we are going to start to create some visual. And the first important step is to select the right visual for your data display. There are many sources you can use to help you to select the right visual, but I'm going to share with you one of the quick visual, which is this one from the DataCamp website. So based on your desired result, you can select the visual. So if you need to display a single value, card is preferred. If you need to display a trend, it is better to use a line chart. If you would like to capture distribution, histogram is a good option, and so on. We have a general rules that table and column chart are suitable for any database, for any data visualization, but it is preferred to use the right visual based on your desire. So in our data set, one of the information we have here is the price. And I need to display the total of the price. So total of the price is a single value. Card is one of the best option to display single value. So to add a visual, all you need to do is to click on the visual. Now I add a card visual. I need to link my field to the visual. The field I would like to link is the price, so I can drag, or I can simply select, but you have to make sure that your card is selected before select the price. Because if your card is not selected, if you are in the blank area and you select the price, Power BI will decide which visual to use based on your selection. So Power BI decide to use the column. Of course, I don't need the column, so I'm going to remove. So every time, if you would like to include a new visual, you have to make sure that you are in a blank area. So in our data set, we have cities. So I need to compare the total price by city. So I will add a column. We have two type of column. We have stacked column and we have clustered column. I use the stacked column. I select city and price, and we have a column chart that displays the total price for each city. If I need to display the total of the price year by year, so if I'm talking about date or time, it is a trend, so it is better to use a line chart. Again, I first start for blank area, select the line chart. Now I'm going to add the price, and every time you have a date field, you have this arrow which you can use to expand the content of the date. By default, Power BI will create a date hierarchy. So I'm going to expand the date hierarchy and I will select the year, and now I have a line chart that displays the total of the price year by year. Let's display a table. So I click in blank area, I drop a table that displays the total of the price for each branch. So here I select branch and price. Let's have a pie chart because I need to compare the total price for each branch. So I will use the same sum of price and branch. If you select any visual from your report Canva and you select another visual from the visualization, it means you are going to change the selected visual to the new visual. So if I select the table, then I click on the pie chart, it means I will change the table to a pie chart. Now, if I need to display a table for the total price for each country, or each city, I still handling a Microsoft product, so I can simply Control C, Control V. So I have another version of the same column chart. One of them I select, then I click on the table. So I have table that display the total of the price for each city. Now, with a few clicks, we created a nice looking report page. Because in Power BI desktop, report is paginated report, so you can have more than one page. But we still have some issues here. First, this 3 million as sum of the price is not accurate because actually, if you look here, the total sum of the price is just 2,600,000. So 3 million is mathematically correct because if you round 2.6, if you round this up, 2.6 is 3. But if we are creating a report, this is wrong. We are trunking 400,000, which is, of course, not correct. So we need to modify this card to display the exact number. Also, I need to format this column chart to display a different color for each city. I don't want to display the whole branches. I need to display only the top 3. So I need to change the display of each visual. For each visual, we have three controls. We have build, we have format, and we have analytic. In the build, we link the field to the visual. So for each visual, we have three controls: build, format, and analytic. For the build, we link the field to the visual. So if I like to change this one to display sum of price by city, I can remove the branch and put the city. If I would like to display the average, not the sum, I can go to the value and change the aggregation value to average. So now I will go back to the sum, I will remove the city and put the branch. If I need to add the months to every year, so in the X value, I will add it's as a quarter. So for every year, now I have a different chart because for every year we have 3 dots, or 4 dots, sorry, because we have 4 quarters. So now the visual looks different because this is not the sum for all 2010, it is the sum for 2010 first quarter. But when I remove the quarter, I have only 1 point for the whole year, and so on. So you can change the relationship between the field and the visual using the build. In the build, we have two different important controls. We have the legend and the small multiplies. Later we'll talk about the tooltip. Later we'll talk about secondary y-axis. But now we are going to talk about legend and small multiply. We use the legend if you would like to break down the aggregated value. So here we have aggregated value, sum for each year. What if I need to sum for each year, but city by city? So instead of having one line, which is sum by year, no, I need a line for each city. So if I put city as legend, my visual, my line chart is still sum of price by year, but breakdown by city. So now I have a line for each city. So the first usage of legend is to break down the visual. The second is just to add colors. So I'm not going to change this one. I still need sum of price by city, but I need a different color for a city. So I put city again as legend. So now it is the same visual, nothing changed, but I have a different color for each city. So we use the build to link the field to the visual. We use a legend to break down the visual or to colorful the visual. I'm going to create another page. I will copy the line chart. And instead of creating a line for each city using legend, what if I would like to repeat the same visual for each city? So I need not a new line for each city, I need a new line chart for each city. If you put city as small multiplies, it means repeat the whole visual by the new information. So now we have a line chart that displays sum of the price year by year for Alexandria, another one for Asyut City, Doha, Dubai, and so on. And now I can very easily and very quickly understand that Wakra branch is recently open because there is no sales before 2017. I can see here There is no sales in 2010 and 2011 for Doha, for Alexandria, starting 2012. So we use the build to control the link between the field and the visual.